What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Bloke in a Bar. Before we get into it, do not forget right now, 50% off absolutely everything in the Bloke store. We're talking about jerseys, if they're still there, if they're still available. They may have already sold out. DMP shirts. So make sure to go to bloke.shop. It's 50% off absolutely everything. Once it's gone, sale ends. Boom, gone. Gone skis. The last sale we did, we've only done one in our history. It sold... It was our biggest sale ever. So make sure to be there make sure to go now because it's already live on bloke.shop, because once it is gone, the 50% sale is over. And as you know, we've only ever done one in our history. So we do not do these often. Just a bloke in a bar. Got the big fella, Phoenix Crossland here. How you going, brother?
Good, man. Thanks for having me, boys. Really happy to be here.
Mate, it's great to have you here. It's great to have you after the year you had because I don't know exactly the feeling, but I understand the feeling of, you're trying to break into first grade, and then you have this year where kind of everyone, I guess, stands up and takes notice of whatever you're doing, and it's almost like a bit surreal, the feeling. What's the year been like for you?
Bro, exactly that. If you told me at the start of the year this would have sort of happened and I would have had the year I did, I probably wouldn't believe you because although I, always have the dream and, work really hard to get there, you probably couldn't have read a fucking better script than the end of the year. 10 wins in a row and been in a few conversations throughout footy, man. I was just sort of soaking it up and bro, I really loved it. It was time of my life.
Mate, it's and to think that like you would go for it, because I mean, and we'll get into your journey, but you were quite a highly touted 7 coming through the ranks, or half, and then to think that it would all happen at hooker, is that surprising to you, or just it is what it is? Yeah, it is what it is, man. But in saying that, I always had Beds used to always say to me, because I remember when I first broke into first grade, I was sort of in the 14 role and, playing a bit of 9, and Beds used to always come up to me and say, I used to play halfback and I ended up being a hooker, and I'm going, I don't think I'll be a hooker, man. Like that's not me. But looking back now, I think, as you said, playing 7 growing up, I reckon that's helped me heaps, and obviously Bedsy's still there with me now, and loving the 9. And you know how much 7s are stinging for the ball as well. You can look up and be like, you know what, I've been there before where the hooker's not giving me the fucking ball, give me the pill.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, you sort of know when they need it, especially Jacko is very dominant and always wanting the ball, and then KP on the left edge too. Like I sort of know through training as well who needs it and what they're looking at, so it's probably helped me a bit too, I reckon.
And this season, we have to go through it. What a ride, like, to experience, like to hear someone like Joey say, I've never, the last time I can kind of remember Newcastle being like this is obviously when they won the GF. To hear a guy like Joey say that, like how fortunate to be able to experience something like that up in Newcastle.
Bro, that was some of the comments Joey made throughout the year when we were going well, man. It's like, if he's saying that, he's the king of Newcastle, and if he's saying, when Dom was running down that wing and he was at the game, and then you watched the video back and he said he's never seen anything like that at a stadium. At a Newcastle stadium, to be a part of that, man, and be on the field when that happened, and then hear one of the greats of our club say that, it was a moment I'll never forget. And I know Joey loves the Knights, and we love Joey, so Joey's got our back and we got his too, so it's been good.
So Joey's he loves a bit of a surf. Do you enjoy a bit of a surf yourself, or it's just it's just all for fucking...
Nah, I surf.
You surf?
Nah, okay. I don't. I tell people I do, but because it looks a bit weird with this hair if I don't surf, so I surf,
The secret's out. The secret's out.
No, I don't.
Nah, are you an active bloke, like you go outdoors a lot and that?
Yeah, always at the beach. I just don't. I never got into surfing, man.
Really?
Yeah, like none of my mates... All my mates look like me. We've got long blonde hair, but none of us surf, man. Like,
really?
It's the weirdest thing ever. We're at the beach heaps, and we play a bit of tennis and that. And it's good. We've got a tennis court down the beach and that. So
it's funnily enough, when I was growing up, when people heard you from the Goldie, they'd be like, "Oh, you surf." Well, obviously not me.
Yeah,
don't really look like a surfer.
Yeah,
but you'd almost be ashamed to not surf because you're like, I've got all these beaches and I don't even know how to friggin' surf.
That's kind of like Nui, man. Like everyone asks me, "Do you surf?" And if you go on the streets and you see someone that wants to go for a surf, like come for a surf, I'm going, "Yeah, bro, let's do it." And then I just never talk to them again because I can't. So,
that's the best. And so growing up, was it always rugby league? Was it soccer? Was it in other sports or?
It was always footy, man. It's Oztag and stuff and touch footy, but I never played like anything else like properly. Rugby league was sort of, I started playing when I was 7 and I loved it, and my mum got me into it because I had 1 year of soccer when I was 6 and I just hated it, man. Like I sucked at it, couldn't get into it, and then turned 7, played my first game of footy, and I never looked back, man. I love it. So
just loved it.
Yeah, and then in the summer it was Oztag and touch footy and that, so I was always sort of had a ball in my hand, and but yeah, it was always rugby league.
Now, it says you were born in Wellington, New Zealand. How many years did you spend in New Zealand?
Spent 4 years there.
4 years there. Do you consider yourself a Kiwi or an Australian?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think I'm a Kiwi. My whole family are Kiwis, so if they're watching this, I'd hate if I said I'm an Aussie. But I grew up here, so
yeah.
Bro, like I'm 50-50, honestly. Like I'm a Kiwi. My blood's Kiwi, but I grew up here. I've got the Aussie accent, the way I live, and you know, it's all Australian, and I love it here. So
yeah.
If there was a way to be both, then I think I'm probably that.
Well, that's the interesting thing about Australia. Obviously, you know, we've got our Indigenous population who are, you know, the Indigenous people of the country.
Yeah.
But outside of that, it's so multicultural that most people have some kind of heritage that begins somewhere else.
Yeah.
So it is this really interesting dynamic where you love Australia because, you know, it's a great country. You've got everything that you've got from Australia, but at the same time, you've got your bloodline as well. So it's just a unique situation, really.
Yeah. That's what I said. Like my blood is Kiwi, and then like culturally and the way I live, like I'm Australian, but yeah, well, my whole family's Kiwi, so they'd kill me if I even said that.
So I'm assuming then you'll play for the Kiwis if you do want to play for, you know, if you are to be selected, you would hope it'd be for the Kiwis?
I don't know, man. It's a decision I haven't really made yet, but you know, having a few phone calls with Madge and that, it was sort of, he made me really want to play for the Kiwis. And then obviously got injured, so I didn't have to make the decision. But bro, to pull on a Kiwis jersey and represent the place I come from, and more importantly, my family and the group of boys I have too, like they got a great team. And then I'm obviously really close with Leo Thompson too, and having some conversations with him at training about what it means to him.
Yeah.
It's obviously something I'm really honoured to do, hopefully one day, but I haven't made that decision yet. So, but it's pretty cool. I can play for Australia or New Zealand, so
mate, it's
very lucky.
As I said, Australia is in that unique position where it's so multicultural that you have so many people with different heritage. My grandfather's actually half Chinese.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
the Chinese have a rugby league team.
I'm so trying to reach out. Reach out. No,
Captain coach.
Could you imagine the China?
There's heaps of teams. I've got like Malta teams.
Me and Brian Toto.
Yeah.
Me and Brian Toto representing China.
Yeah. That's a great team. That's all you need.
No, but yeah, it is, as I said, with Australia, it is interesting because it's so multicultural that there are always going to be, you know, heritage from other countries. Seeing, as you said, you haven't made the decision yet. And it's understandable that you haven't, because it is such a momentous decision, and also it is a unique position. Come here when you're 4 years old, essentially, you know, you've lived here for so long, but at the same time, the bloodlines. But seeing the Kiwis do what they did, I'm sure that was like,
bro, it was crazy. Yeah, that was I was down at the pub having a few beers and was watching the game, man, and yeah, it was crazy. Like that, yeah, as you said, that sort of makes you want to play for the Kiwis when you know they can do that. So I was really happy for him. More importantly, I was really happy for Brown. He was at the Knights, and then obviously Leo as well. They're my two good mates, and Leo especially, who I know is, you know, he's very raw to rugby league. Played union growing up. He's a full blown. No, he's Māori, and he just loves it, man. The whole year, all he talked about was just wanting to play for the Kiwis. To see him do that, to win it, I was so happy for him, man. And yeah.
So Leo Thompson's played union growing up.
Yeah, he's full union. His brother plays for the Chiefs, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, I think he came over and went to Canberra when he was like 19 or something, and that was his first time playing league. So
yeah, well, how old is he
now?
He's
so raw. He's 22.
Wow,
22. Yeah,
that's I guess. Yeah. Obviously, I thought he was a really good player, but his potential now, it almost changes the whole outlook.
Yeah, and he's so raw, man. That's why I reckon that's why he's so good, because he hasn't grown up with all the structures and this is how you have to play if you want to play front row. He does what he wants, man, and what he wants to do is pretty good. So
pretty bloody good.
It's really good to play with him.
How's it been watching him go from edge back rower essentially into the front row? Have you enjoyed it? Because obviously you're in the pack with him.
Yeah, I'll just hide behind him. He's massive. He's like 110 kilos and runs like a truck. So I've been loving watching him play. And he's, as I say, he's one of my good mates in the team, same age. And we've got a lot in common, me and Leo. So I've been really loving pulling the jersey on with him.
So, did you ever consider playing union? Because obviously Kiwi blood, and union's big in obviously in New Zealand.
Yeah. Nah,
Not
man.
really.
I never wanted. I don't like union.
Yeah.
It's not my thing. I don't understand the game. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, I watched the World Cup when the All Blacks played, but bro, growing up, my uncles are always telling me to play union, but it was never for me. Like, as I said, I never liked it. But my whole family, like, I got like my mum's side. My mum's uncle's the only one in my family that ever played league. Everyone else was union.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know how I don't know why mum put me in the league, but no, I never played union.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You think you'd at least dabble in it, but
Yeah.
hey, it is what it is. League, another win for league.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Mate, so you said you started playing league when you were 7 and it just clicked for you. You just loved it. Did you make the rep sides growing up, or was it something that kind of developed a bit later?
I was pretty lucky, man. I made most. I grew up playing like centre and in the outside back, so I was a bit bigger than sort of everyone else. I was tall and I was lanky and I had a bit of range about me, so I was pretty lucky, man. I played most of the rep teams. I grew up on the Central Coast, so the Central Coast Centurions. I made most of those teams, so I was pretty lucky, and then just kept progressing through to make the Knights, and then just made the pathways too.
So, did you, in your mind, were you playing footy because you loved it? Obviously, you're playing because you loved it, but was it also an idea of you could only see yourself being an NRL player eventually, or was it something that kind of, if that happens, that'd be good, see what happens?
I always wanted to play NRL.
Yeah, okay.
I loved it. I love the mateship. I still talk to boys that I played with, like, my best mate. I played my first game of footy when I was 7. I still talk to him. He's the one I went to Burleigh with.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I still keep in touch with him. The mateship in rugby league is something I really cherish. And then also, obviously, I grew up watching the NRL, and that's all I ever wanted to do. That's probably why I never played other sports, because I was so fixated on playing in the NRL. So it was just a mixture, man. I just loved it. It was good because the NRL was the top of the top, and then if you make that, you still get to keep the mateship. So it was just a mixture of both, and I think it's just a great sport, and I'm very lucky that I get to play for a living.
And look, this might be sacrilege because I'm not sure, but were the Knights your team growing up?
They weren't. Nah, I used to hate the Knights, man. I love them now. They're obviously my team. I'd do anything for the Knights, but bro, growing up, I was a Dragons fan.
Oh, really?
I was a Dragons fan, yeah. So I grew up watching Dean Young, Ben Hornby, Jamie Soward, the 2010 team, the 09 team, 10 and 2011 team.
Yeah.
When they were just outstanding. It was the best years of my life, man. I was at the 2010 grand final, and I was in tears when they won it. So, and then I'll tell you why I hate the Knights is because Wayne Bennett was the coach of the Dragons. So I love Wayne Bennett.
Yeah.
And then he left to go to Newcastle and took Bo Scott, Darius Boyd, all that good players. And then I hated the Knights, and then I'm playing for them. So I love them now, but yeah.
Oh, that's great. I mean, you know what's great about that is like that's the genuine fan, how they would react. Like most fans he took our players.
I was filthy, man. I was only 12 years old and hated it. But it was,
Oh, that's great. So who'd you love watching for the Dragons growing up? Who was your main man?
My main man was Dan Young.
Yeah.
I used to love Dan Young, man. And yeah, my family, he was never like the star player or anything, but the passion he played with, man, I could see it. I was only 10 years old and I could see that. My favourite memory of Dan Young is when he scored in that 2010 grand final. He got up and kissed the badge.
Yeah.
Bro, that was epic, man. He kissed the red V on the badge, and that's probably like when I sort of really loved him. But yeah, I just reckon he just loved his club, and he's back there now, I think. So he just really loves his club, and he's a club man. He's passionate, loves the game, obviously, and he was definitely my favourite player growing up, Dan Young.
I went to the Dragons for a year, and he was there when I was there.
Was he?
Yeah, he's a legend.
Yeah.
I've
never met him. I'd love to meet him, mate. He just seems like a good fella.
Good fella, one of the boys, rips and tears, but at the same time knows when to switch on. Old school.
Yeah.
So, like, certain guys now are very, like there's the old school, which were they knew how to have fun with the boys together and like mateship and that. And then there's obviously the new school who they'll train their asses off, but they probably go straight home and it's almost a job to them.
Yeah.
Whereas that old school bunch of that 2010 team were very old school, where like they do everything together. Where it was like, they'd train their asses off, but if they're going to get together, they'd get together.
Yeah.
And he was always one of the leaders.
Yeah, that's what you need, but you need to be able to go to work and like get flogged together and then go have a beer and talk about it too. Mate, that's what makes it fun.
You can do the hardest preseason of your life.
Yeah.
and you could be looking around going, hardest preseason ever, boys. It won't bring you closer than everyone locked in a room on the beers.
I know.
One night.
Yeah, having a laugh about it.
Yeah.
Even after a big game and, the pressure's on and everyone's spraying each other and then it's never personal.
Yeah.
You go on, you win, you have a beer in the sheds after and everyone's laughing about it.
Yeah.
I reckon that's the best, man. Like
100%.
I reckon that's the best part of rugby league. Just laughing about all the sprays and the shit that went on the
Oh,
field.
mate. And some of the like storylines that get brought up like throughout the year with the boys, like someone's done something stupid.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
mate.
The locker room stories.
Oh, mate.
They're all time, eh?
It all got GST on them too.
Yeah,
Massive
of course.
GST.
Yeah. 100%. That's what makes them so good.
Okay, so you make most of the rep sides. When did you move into the halves though? Was it teens or?
I was about 13. So I was playing fullback and I was playing for the Central Coast, and then it was at I think it was that club training, man. Like I was 13 at Aaron Eagles, and the coach I think literally just said one week, I want you to play 5'8", and then obviously you must have gone all right, and then just kept playing in the halves. It was
So were you more of a? Did you then slowly move into 7, or did you stay? Okay.
Yeah, I think it was because in our team we had another good fullback, and he wanted to play 5'8", and he was a lot better than me. Like I could probably direct the team around a bit better. Like I'm a bit more of a, probably like Jacko does for us. He directs the team around. Loud, great kicker. And then we had this bloke who wanted to play 5. He's way better than me, so I just started playing 7. And I really enjoyed that, like having that sort of control over the team and leading them around and just sort of doing my job. So that's probably why I moved into 7. Probably wasn't like fast enough or skillful enough to play fullback anymore or 5'8". So that was probably just sort of my job.
Okay, so you moved slowly into 7, and then in 2018 you captained the SG Ball side for the Knights.
Yeah.
When did you first get, I guess, picked up by the Knights pathway system?
I was 14, and Troy Bazette was at the club, and he was a recruitment guy, and he was a recruitment guy for NRL, and I was playing a club game against the Entrance Tigers, and he was at the game watching, and after the game he just went up to me mum and said, does Fiend want to come have a run with our Chargers team? At the time was the under-15s, and I just went, I played on the wing. So I was playing half. I wanted to be a half at that point, but I was playing on the wing and I was just making up numbers. So ended up going all right in that gala day on the wing, and then sort of got picked up after that. Yeah. I would have been about 15, 16, and then played Harold Mats the year after. But
do you remember getting the gears? That was the best part. Yeah,
that was literally the best part. Yeah, chucking the jersey on, and you got some training gear, and you got a pair of X Blades too, because the Knights used to be sponsored by X Blades. Oh, really? So they give you a free pair of joggers, and bro, that was the best part, getting the gear, 100%, and just putting your drawers and just thinking you've made it already because you got you get to wear the Knights logo. But I was about 14 playing Chargers on the wing. Yeah, okay.
For the sting on the pick and swing. Okay, so fast forward a little bit. You make you captain the SG Ball side. Was that in your first year of SG Ball, or was that your second year of SG Ball?
That was my second year of SG Ball. Okay. So my first year was a year young. I was just, I was playing with like Matt Croker and Tex Hoy and that. They were sort of the leaders, and I was just, I was playing half, but definitely wasn't captain. I captained my own age group. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And when you got that captaincy, was it like? I mean, it doesn't seem like much now because you've gone on to achieve so much, but at the time you're like, this is incredible. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah. No, it was sick, man. I remember. Scotty Jura was the coach. Shout out Scotty, man. He's a legend. I love Scotty Jura. He's probably my biggest influence in my junior career, Scotty. And he sort of just said, do you want to be the captain? And I said, well, yeah. I said, obviously. And yeah, it was so cool, man. Like going from, even though I was so young and I was only a couple of years apart, playing on the Sting in the 15s, and then being the 7 and captain in my own age was pretty special. And at the time, I probably didn't think how big it was until you look back and go, that was some of the blokes that have captained the SG Ball team before, like Cogs and that. Yeah. It's pretty cool. Yeah. You can say you did.
How'd you go that year, captain the side?
We lost in the prelim. Oh. Yeah, it sucked, man. So the Harold Mats team, we lost in the grand final to Para, and then obviously only a few boys went through to play a year up, and then we had pretty much the same team for SG Ball. Yeah. And we would have been favourites to win because I think Para must have lost a few boys as well. And I think we probably had the wrong attitude. We probably thought it was just going to happen, and we got beaten the prelim by the Bulldogs. Tommy Tilliar carved us up. Oh. Matt Burton too. Oh, no. Matt Burton was at Penrith. He carved us up the week before, and we had a second chance and lost to the Bulldogs. Oh. So them two sort of ruined me junior career. I never got to win anything.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Okay, so that's 2018, but 2018, and you sign with Newcastle for a 3-year deal in 2018. Was that because like a 3-year deal at that age very rare in regards to usually if you're that age and you're getting a 3-year deal, there's maybe one, max 2 players that age that are getting a 3-year deal. Usually it's like a 1-year deal or whatever. How did that come about to sign a 3-year deal with the Knights?
It was Troy Bissett again. So he must have loved me. I don't know. It must have been, a soft spot for me. But
is he Kiwi or?
Yeah, he must be. I don't know. No, he reached out and said, because I had a couple of good years in Mats and ball, and I think that year was the first year they put out the development contracts. So that was like the 60K sign-on, and then which is mad when you're 18, just out of school.
My heart here as a battler. I got $4 grand was my first contract.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I was blown away. I couldn't believe it, and then it was 3 years, and all of them were full-time NRL, and that was a big thing for me.
That's massive.
I was straight out of school training with Mitchell Pearce and all them boys. It was obviously the money was great, but I didn't really see it. Mum took care of the money. Obviously, I didn't know what to do with it, but going from school to a 3-year contract, training full-time
crazy
for 3 years was off its head. Like I still can't believe that's what I got to do. So I was very lucky.
Because like, just for listeners, each year there's probably 1, maybe 2 school kids that come out of school, and those kids are usually like the cream of the crop, like they're guns. If you're lucky, 3, but like usually that third player will go into the reserve grade squad and train or whatever. Yeah, it may have changed because squads have gotten bigger, but that was kind of the system when I was coming through.
Yeah, it still is, man. I think there's heaps of training trial boys now. But I think it might be 1,500 a week now. So. Yeah, which is awesome. Better than sorry.
I was bloody working in a bottle with a criminal that kept going back to jail all the time.
So you got heaps of training trial boys, and I think they still do the same thing. There's like 3 development players.
Yeah, okay.
And they're all. I think the training trial is a great sort of idea now because you get boys that are playing local league. A few of them are Newcastle, like local league boys that have carved up in the local league comp, and they come and get a preseason.
Yeah,
bro, they're usually unbelievable. Like, bro, the amount of players that could play in a row that play in local league and
100%
just never make it. It's off its head, man. Like you go watch some of the like Sydney would be good, but the Newcastle local league comp, the talent in there is like the team that won it, the Maitland team. They're like Brock Lamb and that just cruising in that team. Yeah, bro, they're off its head. Like he can still play in a row.
Yeah, I know.
They're so good.
There's a lot of players in that local league that they either couldn't cop the pre-seasons that you go through, or maybe something happened. They had a kid early when they were younger.
Or a few injuries that sort of put them back.
But you're right. They're absolutely, like a lot of the time, not a lot of the time, but there is a large portion of players that play NRL are there mostly because they're willing to just rip in. Yeah. Like just have a dig, go through the tough stuff, and they'll get an opportunity eventually.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing, like the training load. You can probably sort of cop 1 year, but when you got to do it year after year, that's when sort of, I guess maybe boys filter out or it's not for them, but when they go back to locally, they don't have to train that hard and they sort of just get to focus on having fun and playing footy. The game, so that's probably why they shine there. Yeah. But yeah, man, like as I said, some of the talent in the local league, especially in Newey, like I think they beat don't they play a game where the Sydney people that come first in Sydney versus the people that come first in Newcastle was Maitland this year,
Oh, I didn't know
and
that.
Maitland ended up winning. So Maitland
there you go.
are the best local
Newey's
team.
always had hectic juniors.
Yeah.
Like hectic juniors.
Yeah.
Okay, so you sign that contract, and I'm sure you're at school still when you sign that contract.
Yeah.
So the buzz would have been bro, I'm at school.
HSC down the drain.
The first preseason, you walk in. What do you remember from that first preseason? The biggest shock moment where you're like, "Oh shit, this is the standard."
I think it was more the footy stuff. So I was lucky. I signed the contract at the start of off season, so I had a whole off season to get fit. So I went in there so fit, man. I was flying, and that's sort of the first 3 weeks. Like the first 3 week block is just fitness, getting everyone. So I thought I was killing it. And then all the older boys come back, and you start getting into a bit of footy stuff, and everyone's carving you up. It was sort of I was a bit behind in that. I think. Obviously, I was going from playing under 20s and SG ball, and then training with first graders. The intensity and sort of the skill level, they're at a different world. I couldn't keep up. Yeah. So obviously that was just a big year of learning. I was on the reserve grade team versus Mitchell Pearce and that, and he was just putting on clinics, man. I would never think I'd be able to. I still won't be able to get to a level he's been at. Yeah. As far as his skill and his game management is just off its head. So, but I think that was the biggest thing. The biggest wake up call was just the skill, the intensity, and the footy stuff for me, I think.
And was there any contact sessions or wrestle sessions where you're like, wow, this is a lot?
Yeah, Mitch Barnett got me a couple of beauties. I remember.
Oh, that doesn't sound like Mitch Martin.
Kurt Mann, when he came to the club, he was a bit. I think he came like a few months after me. And Kurt Mann's not a big dude, but he can hit like a bus, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I remember I used to try and like go with him and line up against him to run at him and that. And I learned pretty quick. You don't run at Kurt Mann. He's like a little greyhound, just bony, just hurts you straight in the sternum, man. But yeah, I got roughed up a couple of times.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how you could have. Sometimes you see the biggest forwards come out of school, and they're heavier, bigger, and you'd like they're specimens.
Yeah,
but they get against that man strength.
Yeah,
which is
Kurt,
mate.
Which is Kurt, man. He's just he's not muscly, but he's just bony and just strong. He's from the country. I don't know. I think he might be from Rockhampton or something. So
country strong.
Just been farming his whole life and just never been in the gym. Just lifts.
Yeah,
just lifts on the farm.
So that first preseason with Piercy, what do you reckon you learnt the most off a guy like Mitchell Pearce?
Piercy's a legend. He looked after me so well in my first year. He was he was like a father figure at training, and the way he looked after the younger boys is something I try and do when I see sort of 17, 18-year-olds come in now, is just try and help them out, because it's pretty scary. Yeah. And obviously we did heaps of extras, and I tried to learn as much off him as I could as far as like game management and that. But footy aside, man, he was just a legend. Like we'd go, in car trips to Nelson Bay to see his mentor, who at the time, Alan Bell, would go and see him, and he'd always invite me. Yeah. He didn't have to do that. Like I was just 18. He never knew if I would make it or if I was just sort of there taking the piss. But the way he looked after me and the younger boys was pretty special. Yeah. Yeah. What about on the field wise? Like, is there a part of his game that you really felt like, oh, that's a really good insight? I reckon his calmness in his talk. He's obviously skillful and does all that like kicks and passes extremely well, but the way he can direct a team but do it so calmly, I feel like Nathan Cleary does that too. I've never played with him, but playing against him and stories about how he plays from the boys that have played with him. Being a half, being able to direct a team around under pressure but do it nice and calmly so everyone's on the same page, I reckon that's Piercy to a T. He was so good at that. Okay, so that first preseason goes by and you're with the Canterbury Cup New South Wales side? Yeah. And then you get named as 20th man for the New South Wales under-20 side. I guess you're part of the New South Wales squad. I mean, that would have felt like a huge achievement at the time. Yeah, so I ended up playing. I didn't play the under-20s because of the debut, but I remember Ogre called me and said I was going to play 20s. I was 19, so I was playing up in age. And even then, like some of the names in that team were incredible. Like even Matt Croker and Tex at the time, I still do look up to them, but at that time they're playing under-20s Origin. I'm going, this is off its head. Like, this is the next best thing to play in NRL. So, and Ogre was the coach. I'm real close with Ogre, so I was very lucky to make that team and just be a part of it. So you make that team, but then you made your debut as well, I'm assuming, that week? That same week. Okay, so how did that all come about? Was it a surprise or? Yeah, it was. So I forget who got injured in the Origin team. I think it was Nathan Cleary. Yeah. Nathan Cleary went down or whatever happened, and then Piercy got the call up off Freddie on the Wednesday. Yep. Game 3 to the Yeah. It's a Teddy try game. Yeah, that was Piercy's redemption that game. Yeah. It was that was good to watch. But yeah, so Piercy got caught up, and then obviously there was a spot there left on the bench because Mason Leno jumped into the starting team, and yeah, I had no idea. I didn't think it was going to come, and then Brownie got all the boys in and said, oh yeah, and that's one other thing, Fiend's going to make his debut. So I had to pull out of the 20s, which was probably a good thing to do because there's no way I was missing my debut. Yeah. But yeah, it was pretty ironic how like Piercy helped me this whole way and then helped me again by playing Origin and got me a spot on the bench. So it was pretty like a weird moment, but it was mad. I loved it. It's a similar-ish thing happened to me where I think it was the Queensland Cup Queensland side. Yeah. So Queensland Residents, I think it's called. Yeah. Yeah. And so I think they were going to play on the Wednesday, and I had a bit of a niggling knee injury maybe, or something. And so I had to like make this tough call because I think I'd made my debut a few weeks before, or maybe the week before, and they were thinking about playing me first grade. Yeah. So I felt like a dog because I was like, look, technically I probably could play Origin on Wednesday, but I'm going to play my second NRL game on a Friday. Yeah.
And so I had to ring him and be like, sorry guys, like I'm going to play NRL. Which
Yeah,
is
100%. As you would. I reckon that's.
I know, but
that's
it feels,
play on.
you feel dogged.
Yeah,
though,
you
like,
would. Yeah,
'cause, like you're like think you're what you think you're better than us.
Yeah,
you think you're better than us. So you just go play NRL because like, not many of those boys were playing NRL yet.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, it's like. But at the same time,
got to do what you got to do.
Obviously, I'm always. And that was actually the game. Broncos fans remember this. That was a game where Darren Lockyer scored the field goal at Suncorp, and it hit, I think, both posts and went over.
What year was that? Was that against the Dragons?
No, that was the Titans. The Dragons ones, I think, was a bit later. Like
I remember that one too. And that was, he shanked that one too, didn't he?
And he broke his. I think he fractured.
Yeah,
it was his last game or something. And Bealey fractured his fucking cheekbone. Okay, so you get told you're going to make your debut. What's the phone call like to the parents and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it was just I was in tears, man. So obviously, Mum was the first person I called. Well, you know, man, I reckon that's the best part of it. That's still my favourite part of my journey so far, is making that phone call to Mum, and then just do the rounds, call my grandma and granddad, uncles, and I was just in tears, man. Like, just so special to let them know I was going to debut, and then obviously got to get the tickets as well, which is a pain in the ass. There was like 60 people there, so it's still my favourite part of my career is those phone calls. I reckon it's so special, eh? Like. Well, they've seen your hard work. Like, they know what you've done to get there. So to tell them that you've made it, is it's epic, man. So good.
And like all the times your mum either like worked an extra job or dropped you off somewhere, or you know, so many sacrifices that you just take for granted as a kid growing up.
Yeah, I feel like it's more like when you make those phone calls, like you're the one debuting, but your family is like it's their debut as well. Like they've done just as much as you have for you to get there. So to tell them that their hard work's paid off too was off its head, man. It was so good,
mate. Another really selfish moment by me, but when I debuted, when I debuted, I obviously told my parents, and we're all stoked. Couldn't believe it. Incredible, blah blah blah. But I told them, guys, because I used to have this rule: no one's allowed to call me on game day.
Yeah.
If you text or call me on game day, you're getting sprayed tomorrow.
Yeah.
Eventually, obviously, I relaxed a little bit, and maybe that's a bad thing. Maybe I should have stayed zoned in. Anyway, so I said to my family, I was like, look, because it was down at Manly, I was like, I don't want anyone coming down because I need to do this like by myself. This is something that I don't want to be thinking about anything else. I need to be fully zoned in.
Yeah.
Anyway, so went down, played, walked off the field, and so I'd assumed that like, you know, no one's coming down there watching the TV. And then like my mum called me an hour or so later, and she's like, oh, like, where are you? And I was like, just finished the game. And she's like, oh, listen, I've got something to tell you. And I was like, what? And she's like, well, we actually did come down and watch. And I'm so grateful they did.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm so grateful they did. I'm so grateful they did.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, I was just in this mindset of like.
Well, so when you played, you wouldn't let anyone call you or text you on game day?
No.
So you wouldn't know if anyone's there watching you? Or you just organise it throughout the week?
Yeah, just throughout, like you take, here's your tickets or whatever.
Yeah.
That's, if you come, sweet. If not, doesn't bother me.
And that was just a mindset thing, like just
I'm so focused on getting it done.
Yeah, true.
I mean, it fucking worked for me. I was playing good footy, but it's a bit anal.
Nah, I reckon, Well, when did you ease up on that as you got older, obviously?
As I got older, but I think also I got less, because certain things were happening in my career, I just wasn't as focused.
Yeah.
I think if I were to go back now, I would probably redo that just as a, what's the word? Not a superstitious thing, just as a preparation thing. It's like goal kicking. You do the same thing every single time so your mind gets in the right state. I probably would redo that if I was to go back. But eventually I got to a point where I just wasn't enjoying as much anymore, so I didn't care as much.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah.
It's psychotic.
Yeah. I'm the same, man. Like I'm real weird about that sort of stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Like, especially if you have a good game and you've done something and you try and just redo it, and do a bad game and you try and find something else to do.
Well, I think it's because it's look, I don't think any footy player sitting there maybe some are sitting there going, there's some kind of magic thing that's happening.
I reckon there is.
I think what really they're thinking is like, this went well for me, so I'm just going to repeat that to put myself in the same mindset as I was in that moment.
Yeah, 100%. And it's just a mindset thing,
Yeah, for sure. But
then you can ruin yourself too, because sometimes if like I've got such a strict routine before a game, and then if something goes wrong, that could be the end of the world.
Mate.
But nothing ever goes wrong because I'm so strict about it.
Yeah, exactly. I remember when I went to the Warriors, they had a different pre-game routine where they'd go to a hotel room together, like it's in a big, where you go and have feeds and that, and sit around for a few hours, and it wigged me out. Like I strongly disliked it.
Really?
Only because
In home games?
in home games they did.
Oh, true.
I'm pretty sure it was home games.
Yeah.
It was home games, and it wigged me out. And it's not to say that it's wrong, because the reason why it wigged me out is because I was so used to only one way.
Yeah.
And so it was just one of those things. Obviously, eventually I got used to it. Like after the first few, weeks, I got used to it. But initially, I was like, "What? Like this isn't my routine.
Yeah,
I don't like sitting around on a hotel floor, like rolling out the whole 4 hours waiting.
Especially with like a group of boys. As much as you love them, I reckon
it's just too much energy.
Yeah,
I need to just zone down.
I need to be by myself a couple hours before the game.
Exactly. So anyway, that's all just routine though. Like once you get used to it, it's all good, sweet, good to go.
Yeah.
Okay, so the debut comes. What do you remember from the debut?
I sat on the bench for 70 minutes waiting to get on, and Brownie wouldn't put me on. I was just pissing everyone off. I remember I was sitting next to Aiden Guerra. I was giving him the shit. I remember I've never played on the bench. So growing up, I never obviously played on the bench, and I didn't know what to do. So I was just sitting there, just pestering him, asking him questions. And do I ride the bike? Do I go for a jog or whatever? And he was just like, mate, just sit down, shut up. You get on when you get on. So I remember that, but
sit down and shut up. You get on when you get on.
Yeah. So I was actually lucky he was there, because I had no idea what was going on the bench.
Yeah.
I can't really remember the game when I got on, but played about 12 minutes, and it was my birthday the next day, so my family was there. We had a few beers after the game. It was one of the best nights of my life.
Oh mate,
yeah.
The debut, it's just like you sitting in the locker room and you're looking across from you, going like I'm here.
Yeah,
first graders.
Yeah, even going arriving to the game, and you're in your suit. So everyone, no one really knew me, but they saw me in a suit and wanted to get photos. I was like, the fuck, you don't need one. Even just stuff like that.
Yeah, like the VIP sounds corny as, but the treatment you get when you arrive, like the security guard lets you in.
It's weird as. Yeah.
Whereas like when you're a resi, you're rolling into fucking
you walk through the crowd to get to the grass. So
okay, so the debut happens. How did you think you played? Okay, did your job? Just got through tackles or?
I went alright. Didn't do anything wrong. I played 12 minutes in the halves, and I came on and we scored a try. So I think we're up by 2. It was against the Warriors, and then I think it was like 2 minutes to go, and they put a kick through, and I think it might have hit the post, and they picked it up and scored. So yeah, it was. Although it was the best night of my life, it was still. I wish we would have won that. We should have won it. But I did my job. Yeah.
And so, what was it like? This is during a period where the Knights were really struggling. I'm pretty sure it was. What's it like as a young fella? Because you're stoked to be there. You're stoked to be a part of a first grade system. But at the same time, I'm sure you would see some of the senior players that have been in other systems that have won and they're used to winning or whatever. What's the environment like? Are you just trying to get the job done, or?
Yeah, my first year there was like a bit of a Brownies rebuild. So when I got there, he was actually recruiting some pretty good players. Obviously, Tim Glasby from the Storm, Aiden Guerra came from the Roosters with Skidsy as well. So he was recruiting some the older heads, but they knew how to win.
Yeah.
I missed sort of the years before that when the Knights were, they won 3 wooden spoons. So I didn't see the Knights were in the bottom, but I saw them when they were climbing up, doing their best.
So even when you were, for example, they offer you a 3-year deal.
Yeah.
At that time, they would have been struggling, I'm assuming, when they offered you a 3-year deal, or they just started playing some decent footy?
They just started. That's when they started recruiting. So when I was in the juniors, like Mats and SJ Ball, year young, that's when they were struggling.
Yeah, okay.
But I never really had much to do with the first team. But so I was pretty lucky when I came in. That's when they started recruiting some pretty good guys. And I was just a sponge, man. Like Tim Glasby from the Storm, who won a couple of comps, he was a massive leader in that team. Even Jamie Buer, old head, great leader, can talk so well. He played a bit of Reggies with me that year too, and he was big for me too. So I was very lucky to have sort of those boys, and obviously KP and the younger, flashier guys to learn a bit of footy off as well. So I was very lucky.
So KP got there 18, 19?
He got there 2018.
18.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was there a year before.
And then the tough years were like 15, 16.
Yeah.
Around there.
Yeah.
15, 16,
after Wayne Bennett left.
Okay.
I think.
So you make your debut, and then after that, did you say played 6 games that year, or did you play no more games that year?
Just one game.
Just one game that year.
Yeah.
How did you feel going back to? Because once you get a taste of it, sometimes going back to reserve grade, it's hard.
Yeah,
because you're like, mate, I don't want to. All I want to play is first grade now. I don't want to play anything other than that.
Yeah.
What was that like for you?
Yeah, that was tough. That was you're sitting on the top of the world, and you're naive. And because I did my job, I thought I'll be in the team again next week, and then obviously didn't play. But yeah, when you go back to Reggie's, it's more of a mental challenge. Reggie's they're not any less standard players than you. Like there's heaps of players in there. NRL players that have played NRL or younger boys that are trying to play NRL. So everyone's giving it a hot crack. The only difference is like the intensity. NRL is obviously a bit faster, but like I think when I played one game of NRL, you sort of go back and expect things just to happen for you. And that's like so far from the case, man. Like Reggie's is a good comp and you're playing with some good players, and it's just a bit of a mental sort of challenge for me to go back and keep myself at that level, which I don't think I probably did to my best.
Yeah.
So
it's like, it's not like you become entitled, because you don't, but you do kind of feel like you see some players go, they make their debut and they stay.
Yeah.
And so in your head, you're going, okay, once I make my debut, I'm there or thereabouts, and I'm just going to stay in first grade, work my ass off.
Yeah.
But everyone's journey is different.
Yeah.
Did you, because you were so, you'd made all the rep sides growing up or done really well, did you struggle with patience at all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Massive. I still do, man. Yeah, it was a year where, I wasn't entitled at all. I didn't think I was better than anyone to be in that team. It was just more an individual thing. Like I feel like I earned individually to like myself to be in the first grade team. That's not it at all. Like I was barely lucky to be making that reserve grade team after I debuted. I remember we had a pretty good start of the year in Reggie's, then I debuted, and then I went back and was a half again, and we went to dog shit. We were so bad. We lost probably like 8 games in a row. And Rory cost Jason. I played one terrible game against the Bunnies at Redfern, and I missed like 3 tackles, tried to get like 3 intercepts, just doing weird shit that I don't do, and that's not me. But Rory brought me in his office and he said, like, he told me the truth, man. He said, like, you haven't earned anything. Like, you are, like, you've been one of our worst players in Reggie's the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, wow.
And I was nearly in tears. Like, it was such a big wake up call to, like, that realization, like, you haven't made it.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to Rory. He's still there now. He's been like another sort of father figure to me. But I remember that day that was a big wake up call to end the season well, which we had a couple of good wins towards the end of the year. But yeah, it was definitely a challenge.
It's a double-edged sword, because the reason why you have gotten to where you're at is because you're ultra competitive and you believe in yourself.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you're that young and you get to a certain point, as you said, you're not entitled. You're not walking around thinking you're better than anyone. But you go, well, I've done all this hard work.
Exactly.
Maybe I should be here, but you're not.
Yeah. And then when you don't, you think it's unfair because you think you've done all the hard work, and then they're like, oh, sorry, you're playing reserve grade. You're going, well, it's not fair. Like, I've done all this hard work.
I know.
But footy's cruel, man. But
it's my biggest regret is the patience. I was so impatient.
Yeah.
Like watching other blokes debut at, like I ended up debuting at like 19, maybe just turning 20.
Yeah.
And I was impatient, and you're just sitting there going, if my older head could have said to him, mate, just go back, play good footy, and it'll happen. It'll happen.
Yeah. But that's because like footy players are so competitive, man.
Yeah.
Like you just want everything now.
Yeah.
And you're growing up just competing for everything, wanting everything.
Yeah.
To come to you because you work so hard to get it.
And you usually, to be fair, like growing up, if you're in an NRL system as a teenager, you've usually won most things that you've gone after.
Yeah.
So it's like this weird, if you're in this weird environment where you're not getting what you usually would get for the last 15 years.
You're not at the top anymore. You've gone from being in the juniors to being one of the looked after ones, and then straight back down to the bottom. It's sort of, it's different, but yeah, I think most footy players are the same, man. We're not patient people. Like,
oh, mate.
Because your career's so short too. So like, you're only in it for a certain amount of time. So you want everything to happen as quick as it can so you can get the most out of it. But
and then
it's probably the opposite effect.
And then the idea of, contracts as well. There's only so many contracts that you can get. And so you're sitting there going, well, if I don't play NRL, they're not going to re-sign me because they're going to re-sign the other guy that played NRL.
Yeah.
So there's all these like outside factors that are pressuring you as a teenager to make you want to be in the side. Because you think in your head, if I'm playing NRL, I'm getting re-signed.
Yeah. 100%. And that's another thing we were talking about before, like the stress. Contracts are a big thing, man.
Oh, mate. Especially like, we always see these young fellas that get these big long-term contracts, and I love it. Like massive, I love seeing that stuff.
Yeah.
But the fringies are never talked about, or not even fringies, just like guys that are coming through that they're not on the big contract. They only get year-long deals usually, or 2 years maximum. No one ever talks about the pressure on that. You got 30 spots to fill.
Yeah, I got so much time for boys like that because our training, like we have like a few in preseason because there's so many numbers. I reckon those boys that are like the not even the fringes, like you said, like the boys like at a lower level than that, the train and trial boys, like they work probably harder than boys at the top. They're in there earlier because they're desperate. They're in the earlier stretching, or everyone's probably in there at the same time because we've got a few different groups. They usually get put to the last group, so they got wrestled like 3 in the arvo.
Yeah,
man, they're not like some of them live far away, like Maitland, which is like an hour from training.
Yeah,
I've got so much respect for those sort of boys. Like everyone that's having a crack is so like deserves everything. Like they need to get everything. So
yep, absolutely.
Heaps of respect, eh?
Okay, so you go back, you struggle for a few games, but then you pull your form back in. Is that a real? Do you think that's a turning point for you? The conversation with Rory, did you say?
Yeah.
Or was there a few turning points where that was a turning point, and then maybe you dropped a little bit again, and then you need another chat? Or what kind of happened for the next kind of 12 months or so for you?
I had a few turning points. That was definitely the first one where it was like, just sort of. Yeah, as I said, you haven't made it. And then like the next year I played a few more games, but I got in a bit of trouble off the field and then got suspended for a game, and that was another turning point. It was sort of like your behaviour off the field. And that was the most disappointing thing for me, is because I'm not like a dickhead off the field. I'm not that guy. Like I just like to.
What did you do, if you don't mind asking?
There was just an incident at the pub, and I sort of ended up getting in a bit of a altercation, if you will. Okay. Just like pretty standard sort of thing, but it was definitely something I could have avoided, which is the biggest disappointment, is that looking back now, I've had a lot more worse things said about me than that night. So it's very embarrassing that I even retaliated to that. So I got one game off, and I probably should have got more because of how embarrassed I was about myself. But it's been heaps of turning points, man. I reckon and your whole career is full of them. Like there's ups and downs, so I'm sure there's going to be a few more to come. Hopefully not off the field, but
I mean, it's look. Obviously, there's no excusing it. You're a professional athlete. All that stuff, all the stuff you get out of the way. Yeah. But as a young man, someone's putting shit on you. You're out at a pub. You're doing pretty well to just walk away. So it's not excusable in the sense that there's no punishment. But I think that there has to be some understanding of the environment that's kind of created that situation.
Yeah, I was as I said, like I deserved the punishment I got, but I also had the point of view where, and you see it so many times with the boys that, it's such a target on boys' heads, and it's just a cycle, bro. Like if you go for a beer at the pub and there's someone giving you shit, and you can't, especially if they get up in your face and you can't do anything to like defend yourself, and if you did, that's a win for them, bro. Like they don't get in trouble, you get in trouble. And it's just a cycle, man. It's never going to stop because of sort of the things that get put in place. But that's why you get taught now, and there's so many sort of workshops that we get taught now to sort of avoid yourself in the situation, which is really good, man, because the quicker you learn that, the better it is for yourself and your career. So
for sure.
Yeah.
And any young bloke or person, obviously a bloke that's been a young bloke, which is every bloke, but anyone that wants to sit there and pretend like, oh, how dare this happen, like I would consider myself a pretty calm dude, not aggressive. Even I had an altercation off the field. Someone had said something, to a couple of women. It was fucking disgraceful. There was pushing and shoving and all that kind of carry on. And I just got lucky that the pub was a Broncos fan. And so, he called me like the next, it all happened. I left the place. He called me into the pub the next day, and I'm going, oh shit, here we go. Like,
this is it.
I'm in the papers. This guy's going to absolutely fizzle me. He brought me into his office, and he sat me down, and I'm wigging out, going, I'm done here. And I can already think Wayne is just going to smash me. Anyway, so he sits me down. He goes, see this, and he played the incident. And he played it, and I was like, listen, man. I was like about to just be like, oh man, I'm so sorry. Like, blah, blah. He just went, well, delete.
Bullshit.
Yeah. He goes, mate, don't worry about it. All good.
That's
no
mad.
dramas. Yeah. And so, like, I'm sure that most blokes have had a situation like that where someone's been a complete dickhead. You feel like you're doing the right thing. Like, for example, I felt like I was doing the right thing. There was 2 women that I knew that were getting disgracefully abused, like all that kind of stuff, sexism, all that kind of stuff, whatever. But I was actually doing a silly thing. I should have handled it maturely.
Yeah.
But when you're that age, you're not thinking that straight. So as I said, I'm not excusing it at all. I'm just creating an environment, you know.
But even then, if you do the wrong thing and, you know, get physical with them, if they're abusing two girls, like you don't have the right to, but I feel like it's not the complete wrong thing to do just to step in. But that's what I mean by the cycle, bro. Like, they're not going to be in the paper. You're going to be in the paper, and you're going to be the one in trouble.
Yeah.
But there's definitely like levels to it. You can't just go and start
skits,
punching people. But
but what's crazy is like even me. So it was about two or 3 years ago. I rocked up to a footy game, and you know there was a lot of people that are fans of Bloke.
Yeah.
And you know, hey mate, love the potty, whatever. And then there was just one dude that was like literally just calling out abuse to me, like just disliked me.
Yeah.
And even me as a 30-year-old was like, in my head, I was like, I would love to fucking flog you.
But like, you could have like 100 people saying, "Oh, love the podcast." There's one bloke, and that's the only one you'll hear. That's the only one you'll think of.
Oh, mate. And so even as a 30-year-old, that thought in my head of like, you deserved a punch in the face.
Yeah.
Obviously, I was like, mate, whatever, bro.
Yeah.
You're the loser that knows what the podcast is.
Yeah, you're listening to it.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, I understand footy players are paid well, they're privileged, and so that's the responsibility they take on. They're going to have to deal with dickheads every now and then, but we're human beings. We all make mistakes.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so you make your debut, then the next year you make 6 appearances, and you reach the finals for the first time since 2013 in 2020. What was that like to be a part of that movement?
Yeah, that was mad, bro. That's when the season stopped. We had like 8 or 9 weeks off, and the boys came back so fit because we had a group chat and we were all just training so hard, and then we came back so fit and ended up making the finals. We got beat by the Bunnies at ANZ that day. I think we were up by 20, so we should have won that game. But yeah, that year was just another year of just learning because obviously we still had Piercy there. I was still just being a sponge off, and the boys we kept the same team we did in 2019, most of them. So we still like Tim Glasby and Dawson, all them. So that was just another year of soaking it up, man. And obviously had a few more games. And
this was Adam O'Brien's first year as well?
Yeah, this was Adzy's first year. So yeah, that was another sort of cool thing, new coach to impress, which is really good for me. So I played a few games and I think we won most of them when I played. So I was very happy with that. And that was sort of like a personal sort of thing that I enjoyed. So yeah, it was a good year.
So 2021, you play 9 games and you guys make the finals again.
Yeah.
But at this point, so you've played 1 game, 6 games, 9 games. I'm assuming at this point you're getting super impatient. I could be wrong, but I'm assuming. Is that true or not true?
Yeah, that was another good year, like just for learning. But yeah, it felt like I sort of was ready to take a bit more responsibility. And I think that year was the first time I started sort of playing 9. So I think that was a bit. At the time, I didn't want to play 9. Like I was still just fixated on, being a half and being the next number 7.
How did you take that? Because a lot of young fellas, they suck a little bit when stuff like this happens, and it's natural. How did you deal with that? The fact you had to play 9.
Or at the time, I just wanted to play NRL, so you could have put me anywhere. I could have played on the wing, and I would have loved it. But I definitely didn't suck. And Adsy, I guess looking back now, always had a plan for me. So I'm very grateful that he.
Did he communicate really well with you in regards to that?
Him and Blake Green both did, because Greeny, I remember having a chat with Greeny and he said, mate, when I first came in NRL, I was playing everywhere. I played back row, hooker, 5'8", which is his position. But he also said there's a plan, bro. Like you'll come out the other end. At the moment, just soak up, play some NRL, get some experience, and that's just what I did. Like
that's good communication from the staff, because sometimes that doesn't happen.
Yeah, no, they were like Greeny's really good, Nazi's really good too. They let you know what's going on. Like even if you go on, their office is always open to have a chat. So those couple of years were very big for me in learning and sort of playing a different position. Yeah,
because sometimes the same thing can happen, but the coaching staff won't tell you what the plan is, or they won't. They'll just put you in that position. Yeah, and you'll just be like, bro, like what the hell? Like, what's going on? Yeah, no, we're very lucky. Our coaches are. A lot of them have played like Greeny and Rory and all them, so they get it, man. Yeah. They'll come and tell you before you see anything in the paper about getting dropped or making the team. So we're very lucky like that. And our office, the coach's office right next to the locker room, so you just swing in and have a chat whenever you want. It's pretty good. So 2021, that's also the year you would have been off contract, correct? Yeah. So how did the contract negotiations go? Yeah, that was tough because that was the year we were in the bubble at Sunny Coast. So yeah, I was sort of away from my family. It was just phone calls, man. I couldn't see my manager or anything, and off contract. And it
even the recruitment guy for the Knights couldn't come in the bubble. So everyone was just talking over the phone about sort of my plan next year. And it didn't get done till real late. I think there was like 2 weeks left to go. And I was pretty close to, you know, shutting the door on the Knights and sort of, you know, I did have the shits a little bit because it was taking so long. But looking back now, it's understandable. No one could really see each other.
Yeah. But it's your future. Like, as a
it's
player,
so stressful. That's what we're talking about. Like contracts, it's like when you're off contract, it sucks.
And every week you wait, a salary cap, every other salary cap fills up.
Yeah.
And spots go.
Yeah. And even if you play shit, you go, that's even worse because, you know, well, I don't think I'm that good.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
were you in discussions with other clubs or anything like that? Or
there's a few. I was pretty keen on going to Brizzy. There was, you know, a few phone calls there where it was, there's a spot for you if you want to come. And you know, that whole year was sort of at the sunny coast, and I was away from my family enough. Like and that sort of taught me that I don't think I'm really ready to leave home and what I've got there because I'm so young and. You know, the contract wasn't that good. Like it wasn't like, you know,
a crazy contract,
$1 million to leave. So, probably just wasn't ready for it, man.
Yeah.
But then Knights ended up coming through, which was really nice.
And so did you sign a 1 year deal? Or
it was a 1 year deal, yeah. Just a 1 year deal.
Pressure.
Just to hang on, have another crack sort of deal.
Oh, mate.
It puts more pressure on you.
Yeah, 100%. One
no security,
year, you get injured, like anything can happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but 2022 though, you make 19 appearances. Obviously it wasn't the best year for the club, but you played 19 games. You know, how are you feeling with that year?
That was a mixed year, man. Like I was happy that I was playing most weeks. But yeah, we had a shit year and I had a shit year and bro, out of all the years that I've had so far in the year, I reckon 2022 was my biggest learning curve, man, because I was just copping it everywhere. Like the team was, obviously staff were under pressure, players were under pressure, I was under pressure, and I know we won like 6 games that year. Yeah. So although I got a lot of experience playing first grade, it wasn't good experience. Like we were losing and I was playing shit. So, but you know, looking back now, that's probably the best year that could happen to me because now I've learned so much about when you go through those downs.
What's it like dealing with, you know, stuff online and that, like, and you're working your ass off, it's just not working, you know? Yeah,
that's it, because you're working so hard and no one really sees what you're doing behind the scenes, and when someone throws that back in your face because, you know, you played shit or you're having a bad year, that's real tough. And, you know, nothing was ever really said about me in the comments or online before that because I wasn't really in the team.
Yeah.
So then when I was playing every week and I wasn't playing well, you read the comments and it was just Crossland fucking sucks.
Yeah.
And at the start I read them, obviously, I'm not going to lie. I read them because I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And then once I realised that's not what to do, you don't fucking read the comments. I just switched it off. But even then, bro, like I was copping it all year and I sort of stopped. I deleted Instagram for a couple of weeks, but like mum would text me and my mates would be like, fuck, did you see what that bloke said? Fuck, don't tell me that. Like just deleted shit. Like, yeah, it's pretty tough, man. Like, as you said, you work so hard and then people throw it back in your face. It's probably the worst part of rugby league because I don't know what you do behind the scenes.
For sure. And I guess from your perspective, you're sitting there going, hang on a sec, like I want a 1 year deal. Like, on probably not a big contract, I'm assuming.
Nah, yeah.
And like I'm copping all this heat. Like I'm the last, you know, it's just tough as a young fella to trying to square that away.
Yeah. I think if that happened to me now, I'd be fine because I know it's just a moment in time. Like you can, like a couple of good games, everyone stops talking pretty much. So obviously at the start I probably didn't handle it too well, but it was definitely a big learning curve, mate, getting sprayed.
Oh, mate. I don't know how you boys do it. I don't know how I would have done it coming through with social media and that. Like, I probably would have just had it. The way I've thought about this quite a lot, I would have had a dummy Insta account and it would have followed no sports stuff. So I could still enjoy Instagram and, you know, memes, all that kind of stuff, but I'm not getting fed anything. And I would have said to everyone, don't send me, like, for example, when I was playing footy and you break up with the missus. Yeah. I went to every single bloke. I said, if you see her out, you see anything that happens, don't tell me about it. I don't want to know. Best thing I ever did.
Really?
Best thing I ever did. Yep. I go do that. Yeah. Delete number, block everything. Because then it's like, it's out of sight, out of mind, baby.
That's good willpower.
Just out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's what I would do with social media. I would literally just not follow. I'd have 2 accounts. Obviously, you'd have your one to help promote yourself as a person and build that up. But I honestly would barely even look at it. I would just post it and then not look at the comments. Yeah. And then I have a private one where I get to, you know, the boys know it and that, and we could talk shit or whatever.
I used to hate the ones that would message me would always be like ones that obviously are fake accounts. Yeah. So they're too. They don't want you to see their name. Cowards, man. Like they don't want you to see the actual name.
Yeah.
Because then if you know them or
it's a double coward because you're messaging. They're randomly messaging you.
Yeah.
Which is like Derek.
Yeah.
But then it's doubles that you don't even have the guts to stand on what you're saying. You fucking coward.
But no, there was some funny ones too. I don't know.
Yeah.
There was one that was. I remember one. It was Crossland ? More like cross your name off the team list. I was like, fuck. As much as that sucks, it was pretty fucking funny.
You got me 1-0. 1-0.
Yeah, well played.
Okay, so 2022, and you. So assuming you sign another 1-year deal.
Yeah. More pressure.
More pressure. Just 1 year after 1 year.
Yeah.
Okay, so then 2023 rolls around, and obviously you play 25 games, and like, what a great year from you. Do you think this is two reasons that you went so well this year, and you can say this is incorrect, but is it because obviously the team went well? But do you think also it's because you're fully committed to that 9 role mentally, or am I just making stuff up?
No, 100%. Playing the one position definitely helps, and unfortunately, Browers got hurt and couldn't play the year, so I was sort of that was the only spot I had to play. So yeah, as you said, man, like just playing week in, week out. Like my start of the year was nowhere near as good as the back end of the year because I got that consistency and confidence coming through the whole year. And the team as well, man. We just sort of clicked. Like, I'm not even taking the piss. Like we at the start of the year when we weren't going so well, we kept saying to each other, we just need one game where it's going to click. We just need one game because we train so well. We have patches in games where we're so good, but we're just struggling to find an 80-minute game.
Yeah.
And then we beat the Bulldogs at ANZ, which was the game we needed to click.
Yeah.
And then since then, man, like we just went on a roll, but not even lying. Like we just kept saying, we just need that one game. Like we're so close, boys.
Yeah.
And Adzi kept saying it. We'd be in video and he goes, see what you're doing here. Like you'll get a game where that just happens for you. And we ended up getting one.
But like people, may not remember, you have to look back at some of the results. Just got beaten by the Broncos by a couple of dubious calls, you could say. And then you lost by, I think, a point for the Panthers. I don't know whether that was before or after the run that you started. And so that... It's actually true. Like you were this close to these really important wins.
Yeah.
You just missed out on them.
Yeah. The only game you got touched up was the Para game.
Yeah.
That was awful. That was before. I think we had the week off. So I think that might have played a part just thinking you're on holiday. But most of the games, bro, we weren't getting flogged. The year before we were getting flogged, but we knew, that's what I mean. Like we're so close to turning things around and got done by a point against Panthers, try against Broncos. They both killed, man. Because we played so well both those games and there was just so many close calls that could have gone our way, but they didn't. But fortunately, towards the back end of the year, they sort of shifted.
I remember the game against the Storm, and I was like, fuck.
That was crazy, yeah.
I was sitting there going, I can't remember the last time the Knights were this dominant on the Melbourne Storm.
Yeah, that was a real good game because I think they were up 12-0 after like 15 minutes. And just like the resilience the boys had that game, like the chat in the huddle, like years before, like there'd be blokes there just not really talking at all in the huddle, but we had a big thing this year about leadership and getting together as one. Yeah. And we showed that game was a perfect example. Down 12-0 against the Storm, you think we get beat by 40 here.
Yeah.
We're sitting behind the post and boys just look at each other and go, we know what to do, boys. Like there's a process here, just stick to it, and ended up getting the result, which was really good.
Yeah, mate. And the way you got the result.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't just like 2 points or whatever. It was a pretty dominant display.
Yeah. Yeah, that was real good because we had a few good moments in that game, and I feel like our team sort of thrives off like a bit of aggression, and like that's how you sort of get yourself into the game sometimes. About if you give away a penalty and there's a bit of emotion flying around, boys go right over in this like, and we had a few of them in that game too. So it was a great game and it was good to beat them.
Mate, I remember watching you this year, and at the start, really good utility, could fill positions, and but I just remember there was certain, like initially when your form started. Even on the Reedy show, we were like, fuck, Phoenix Crossland killed it. And then the next week we'd be like, fucking Phoenix Crossland killed it again. Yeah. What did it feel like for you? When do you really feel like it clicked for you? What game felt like, all right, this is the way I play, and I just got to stick to this kind of system?
I'd say that the Bulldogs game was, a good game for me because things just sort of were clear for me. I could see them just sort of happening. And then I'd say that Storm game, bro. Like I was I don't know what it was. You just get some of those games where you're just on.
Yep.
You get some games where you're fucking not on, and it's the worst together. But that was I just was really in the zone that game, and just sort of just tried to go after everything. I think coming up against Harry Grant was a big sort of motivation because he's obviously the best 9 in the game, and he's a freak, and I just sort of wanted to compete with him and at least just say I can keep up with him because he's on another level. So that was probably a big game for me, like just to get a bit more confidence saying I can keep up with the best in the game. So
yeah.
It was just, it was really good.
And what was it like experiencing, you experienced the bad side of social media, but then you experience all the love from social media. Are you just like, you're like, you know what, I'm not going to let it get to me because I've dealt with the bad?
Yeah. Really good saying. Adam O'Brien told me, because obviously he would have known what was going on. He said, if you're going to let yourself read the good stuff, you've got to read the bad. So just don't read any of it. Yeah. And honestly, I wouldn't go through, if I had a good game, I would never go through the comments and try and find my name because, as you said, if you're going to do that, you got to do it when you're playing shit. So I just don't do any of it. But the times like when you boys would mention me, my mates would send me, this is what he said. And it was pretty cool. Like, you guys have some pretty cool blokes on this podcast and big names. So when you guys like talk good things, it was like, oh, it's mad. So my mates would always send it to me because they just love their footy. They love to see their mate doing well. But
exactly, they're happy for you. Yeah. They're happy for you.
Yeah.
And so I guess in your head now, and so you signed a 3 or 4 year deal this year. 3-year deal.
Yeah.
You must be sitting going, yes.
Yeah, a bit of security.
So in your head now, are you an out and out 9? That's where you want to be. That's where you want to play.
Yeah, that's where I want to play. I think 9 suits me after the year I've had. I really enjoyed it, and I haven't really had a preseason where I've just trained 9. So I think if I get one of those under my belt this year, it's only going to do me favours. So. And obviously Browse is back too, so there's competition there. He wants the 9, I want the 9. So it's only going to be good for both of us, man. But yeah, I definitely think I'm a 9. It's where I want to play, and I want to start 9. But anywhere in the team, like I just love playing for the Knights and with the boys. So if I play 14, then so be it. But that's not my goal.
So in that streak, the 10-game streak, 10 games?
Yeah.
What's a memory that sticks out the most for you? Is it, rolling into a stadium? What's something that immediately comes to mind from that streak?
The sold out crowds, man.
Yeah.
At the end, the last 3 games, and like the feeling after you get when you win, just looking at the crowd going nuts, man. Like the Bunnies game, the Sharks game, and the Canberra game, they were like the best moments of my career, man. Sold out crowd in Newcastle doesn't get better, man. Like just enjoying the win with the fans that have suffered so long, and they're finally getting to see a team that is winning and doing well. To be a part of that, I'm so grateful, and I just love to like see them smiling and enjoying their footy as much as we were.
Who's the toughest bloke to tackle this year? Like, who's a player that you played or a game you played where you go, this guy is a nightmare, an absolute nightmare?
Nelson.
Oh.
He sucks. I'll just try and grab one leg and hope 3 other blokes come over the top.
He's so big. He's so big.
Justin Olam was pretty tough because he just runs dead straight and real hard. But there's a few boys like I sort of. Oh, Payne Haas, obviously, that Broncos game, he just kept eyeballing me, trying to find me. And I would too, because he's twice the size of me, but that was real tough as well.
Yeah.
There's a few boys, most of the middles, because they're twice the size of me.
Mate, so big these days.
And Payne's fast and fit too. Like, some middles, they run it, a couple of times and then they sort of stop. But Payne just is 80 minutes just straight at you. Fast,
he's
hard.
Like a Terminator, eh?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. He's one of the best.
What about on-field moment? Is there any like cool memories you have? Is it Dom Young flying down the wing? Is it Bradman Best going over against, I think, the Sharkies on that short ball from Gamble or Hastings?
I would say, the Dom Young try was pretty cool. And actually, no, there was the Gags try before that. I think it was the same game. But Gags scored a try when the game was sort of in the balance, and he sort of scored to make it like a pretty, not convincing, but like we looked like we were in a good spot. And I remember I was the first one there, and just the, when you get around your mate and the whole, you can just see the crowd. I was facing the crowd. That was a pretty cool moment, man. Like, especially Gags too. I've looked up to Gags, and now I'm playing in a final with him.
He's such a good bloke, eh?
He's a legend, man. I've got a lot of time for Gags, and Uncle Gags, we call him. So
what was it like being witness to KP's run, Dally M run?
That was cool, man. Yeah. Bro, those last 10 games, like, it was, KP was on fire, and he was a massive part of why we won. And to see him at the Dally M's get the medal, it was sort of like, almost like, well, your team helped him get there. So I was really proud to see KP get that. And I know Jacko and Punter, Tice Gamble and myself, we're really proud because we know we helped him as well. So, I was really happy for him. And to see it's about on the same team as him, some of the things he did, man, it was off its head. So
is he the kind of guy that, like, you see what he does on a footy field, but in a training field, it's like crazy?
Yeah. The thing with KP, because people think he's just so relaxed and like just doesn't care, which he doesn't. Like for not like just in life, he's so cruisy and relaxed. But he works so hard, man. Like he's been training every day this off season. Like
Yeah, wow.
and he's just won a Dally M. It'd be so easy for him to say, I need a rest. Like this, like I've had a good year, but bro, he's honestly been training every day. Like
Yeah, wow.
he works so much harder than people would think. And it's a full credit to KP because he doesn't, although he's just naturally gifted, he's also, he works really hard on it too.
Yeah.
Really hard.
Mate, I can't wait to see him at fullback this year. Far
Yeah, it'd be
out.
good to see him start there, not at number 6.
Yeah, oh mate, yeah.
Yeah.
When that all got happened on the show, we were like,
Yeah.
why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Okay, so the next 12 months, everything happens perfectly for you. What are you doing? What are you doing?
What do you mean? Just
Like, what have
mental.
you achieved? Like, where do you want to get to in regards?
I want to play rep footy, man.
Yeah.
Rep footy is a big thing for me. I think a couple of years ago, I wouldn't have thought I'd ever be in a conversation to pull on a rep jersey, but no, saying that I can do it, yeah, it's a big thing for me. I don't know who I would decide to play for. Obviously, I've got to have another good year of footy and get picked again because that's the first thing. But bro, rep footy is a massive goal of mine, as it is for everyone. But having a few phone calls off the coaches and that, knowing that I could have played, which is really special. So hopefully get to recreate that, which is a big thing. And obviously playing finals again for the Knights is obviously first and foremost. Yeah.
What was there a period where you're like this NRL thing might not work out, or you're always pretty steadfast?
Nah, after that 2022 year, man, I had another year signed this year, so I knew I'd be in the system. But bro, honestly, I was thinking there's going to be such a clean out of this team, and I'm probably first on the list.
Yeah, wow.
Not from anything the coaches said to me, but from listening to outside noise and thinking you're not worth it. Yeah, bro, there was some sleepless nights there for sure, man. And I just bought a house, and like I didn't know if I was going to have money to keep it the next year or anything like that. Like, bro, it's so stressful. Like, but yeah, I'd say the 2022 year was definitely a year where I was like, fuck this, the dream could be over, man.
Yeah,
but,
wow. So did you go away 2022 and just train your absolute ass off heading into preseason?
Yeah, bro, off season was just training. Like I think we went to New Zealand for 10 days, and then every other day after that was just training. And I was pretty lucky because Bradman, well, not lucky that he didn't have the year he wanted, but he was in the same mindset.
Okay.
That he wanted to just bounce back and train his ass off. Matt Croker was there, KP was there, because the whole team didn't have a very the year we wanted to.
Yeah.
So there was just so much hunger in the team. So bro, the whole off season down at the park, there was just boys running, bro, just getting fit, stronger.
Yeah, wow.
So I was very lucky just to be in the same sort of mind frame as a lot of other boys. So it really helped me out.
Yeah.
We just worked our ass off that off season, man.
Isn't it? You hear, as you're a young fella, you hear all the cliches about hard work is the key ingredient.
Yeah.
It just is, man.
It is, bro. Like Brady came back the first day of preseason, which was like the 2nd of November. That's like, he didn't have to. He could have gone 3 weeks later. And look at the year he had, man. He played Origin.
Look how well he went in Origin.
On fire, man. Like one of our best players. So like, yeah, it is a cliche, but definitely like hard work works.
Now, ask all the boys this, favourite rapper of all time?
Oh, Drake.
Drake?
As boring as that is, yeah, I'm going to say Drake.
Okay. The next generation, it's all Drake.
Yeah.
It's all Drake.
Yeah.
It's all Drake.
Sorry, man. It's boring as.
No, it's all right. Do you like his latest album?
I do actually, yeah. A lot of people don't.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think he's released a good album for a while now.
Yeah, a lot of people say that. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from.
But you love
I just love him too much. He can put out the worst thing ever, and I'd still say it's the best.
Favourite movie of all time?
I guess Step Brothers.
Yeah.
Crack up. Or Wolf of Wall Street. So I got 2.
Yeah. I mean, both.
All time, yeah.
Both goated.
All time, yeah.
Both. The opening scene with Wolf of Wall Street, you're like, oh, okay, I know what I'm in for here.
Yeah.
I know what I'm in for here.
Even Step Brothers is a classic. Me and Tex were just up for Mad Monday.
Yeah.
Them 2 one year. It was fucking crack up.
How was your Mad Monday this year? Tame, quiet, decent?
Heaps quiet.
Really?
Nah, it was fucking... Bro, it was pretty good. We do Mad Monday well, eh? We're pretty smart. We just cruise, man. Yeah.
You just can't go out.
Nah, you can't, man. Nah. Especially when you're dressed up and you can't be seen like that, can you? So
they're just waiting for it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we got a good crew. We sort of just stick together and enjoy ourselves.
Mate, thank you so much for coming on, bro. And I'll be watching closely. And massive good luck for the new season next year.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well.